seconds remaining.
For themselves, right, is the ogre now with the
to pick.
drow. Unless they
5
pick another
seconds
carry or
remaining.
another offlane to fit with the Slardar Oracle, that should cover Faceless here.
So whose draft do you like more at the moment, Kev? You think the Faceless Voids, Faceless draft, sorry, is kind of, it's pretty straightforward, isn't it? It's very similar to the drafts we've seen so far.
I think both drafts have lots of rotation potential in terms of what their lanes are right now. So I would say they're on pretty equal footing. I think it's way too early to call.
Ooh, Ricky.
Maybe I could make an assumption now. Someone else want to?
About Faceless' next pick?
How about the Ricky now?
Ricky.
Ricky's harass potential is definitely very strong.
Yeah.
He can just show up at random lanes. That's definitely effective. Good against Drow Ranger early game as well. Just because she can't really shut down your pressure. And I don't think Ogre is going to be able to do a good job at that either. So, Ricky +1 dual lane plus Ricky roaming could be pretty effective.
Okay. Interesting.
Oh, and with OD, if he shows up mid and OD gets a banish off on somebody, set up the smoke cloud.
Yeah.
That's pretty good gank potential.
I like the Riki because it can contest the Drow Ranger lane. Just Slaughter alone is going to get destroyed. Yeah, pretty much any 2 supports plus Drow Ranger will be able to deal with it. But with the Riki, you can actually contest the pools constantly. So another Drow Medusa, Faceless. Black likes Medusa a lot.
Not the first Medusa we've seen.
No, Drow Medusa is very, very common. There's only a few teams that pick it just Medusa by itself. I think EG is one of them, but
because her base damage is bad, isn't it? Like
it's
Medusa.
terrible.
So if you get the Drow, suddenly it becomes scary.
Yeah, really good. And now,
they have a slightly good counter with OD though, because his ultimate lowers mana no matter what now. That's a pretty big hit to her survivability. Pure damage is arguably not as good as raw, I would say, against Dusa. Can't remember.
But the mana steal is the int steal is really, really good.
Yeah, that's really big.
Yeah, OD not bad against Dusa.
Is that a Wyvern, man?
Yeah, that is.
We've seen that once. We've seen that pick once. And what was that countering perk?
It was an anti-drow.
Anti-drow. It was anti-drow. So maybe no.
You got Slardar Amp. Slardar himself doesn't do much right click, so it's pretty much OD's right click, which does have pure components. It'd be okay against Wyvern, but they'd also have to worry about like Wyvern ulti. They're very right click based. Slardar, OD, Ricky, all right click based, so I think it would have been pretty effective. Also, they have really weak push right now, so if they had strong counter push from somebody like, I guess it doesn't matter, they still have Dusa, but I think it's mostly about his ultimate and his third skill, the Cold Embrace, that they banned it.
Playing on the last 2 then. And this is where I do like to see if anyone can speculate, but it doesn't seem like we've got too much of a read.
Normal support, maybe like Witch Doctor, anything standard like that.
Strong.
Dazzle's okay too for the Weave versus the Slardar. Any other suggestions?
I guess I think they need. Actually, I'd kind of like CM. I think. Especially Ogre gives her mana in the laning stage, and then the only downside is it would kind of prevent Ogre from getting to mid faster, and then it would also kind of gimp their safe lane a little, because CM would have to get 2 in the jungle and then go lane.
I think Venge would be pretty good, wouldn't it?
Weaver.
LGD's turn to pick.
Interesting.
Sport Weaver.
Okay.
Serge, would you ever do an audiobook? If you come on hard times, would you ever write like?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You would.
I'm too busy right now. I don't have time.
Okay, but like, would you? Can we stay in contact and maybe you can consider it?
If you want to throw money at me, I'll take your money.
Yeah, I'd like you to do Winnie the Pooh.
I can do that.
Christopher Robin and his adventures.
I'm gonna need a lot of money. I don't like Winnie the Pooh.
You don't like Winnie the Pooh? Okay.
I think you'd need someone English, surely. Winnie the Pooh is.
But listen, I just feel like that could really send me to sleep. Not in a bad way. Like as in, it's just so warm. It's like your voice is like a fireside chat, you know.
But a fireside chat with someone who's detailing in extreme detail how disappointed they are in you. That's what it feels like to me. Like ever sitting me down and telling me all the things I've done wrong in my life.
I would really exceed at the EOR segments.
Yeah, so this is everything that's gone wrong. One more then. One more for LGD.
You messed up, Ted, and here's 100 reasons why. I've laid out a spreadsheet, color-coded this time. Spent 4 days making this.
I think the Weaver pick can actually be punished from the Riki. I think that when VP picks it, I think it's a lot better, and this might be like, oh, we saw VP, they've done really well with it, but like they didn't have any long duration silences, and Weaver's move speed without Shikuji is absolutely atrocious, and they have a Slardar on the opposite team.
Yeah.
So I'm not the biggest fan of the Weaver right now. LGD just probably need a maybe hero to.
Did you see Lil's Weaver yesterday?
I know, but this is Faceless.
This is Faceless.
I think I agree with you on all those points. I think the one good thing that they have about it is it does kind of allow them to have a strong dual lane support with the Weaver. He can try to Slaughter.
And we've got the last one. Sorry about that.
Personal
I
assist.
wouldn't. As a PA, though, I'll tell you that. That'll be quite.
No.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with Faceless.
Ready though, it is going to be Gods and OD to jump into the action.
Absolutely, Alex. Thank you very much. We're ready to get in the first game of the first series here today on the mainstream. LGD versus Faceless. We've seen the drafts. I was talking to you about this before, guys. You've got a lot of hope for Faceless coming into this one, but for me, I see LGD. They're the powerhouse here, surely.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close series, but LGD, despite not qualifying, are a very strong, formidable team, and probably one of the stronger Chinese teams here, just due to the fact they're playing with their full roster, no stand-ins in the mix, so definitely look for them to make a strong showing. I think we're both kind of looking at EG and LGD as maybe the two favorites in this group, but Faceless, a tough first-round opponent for LGD. This is the best team in SEA as far as online results go. They just haven't shown the same kind of performances on land just yet.
And obviously, considering the drafts that we've seen from both sides, we're going to see this interesting interaction, obviously, with both teams having this roaming. Ricky on the side of LGD, there's the Weaver on Faceless. I mean, how's that going to work out against each other? Do you like that they picked the Weaver up here, FR?
I think it's good. It's always going to be very strong when you've got the Jar Ranger, because the hero gets so much physical damage with the Gemini attack and the Swarm with the minus armor. You get that casual Blightstone that we see as XY starting item. So he's got Blightstone with the Dust. He's looking to be able to counterplay the Ricky of XZ, maybe follow him around a bit. Also just help zone out with the safe and make sure that the Jizing on the offlane Slatter doesn't get too much. So we'll see how this works out. But I think it is a pick that's going to fit the Faceless draft very well.
At the moment, eyes on the mid lane. We are going to see, obviously, with the sentry down there prepared. XZ will get the quick deward though. So LGD already going to have some pretty good control of this mid lane. And for the time being, looks like Jabs is going to be left on their own, because up top, that's where Faceless are looking for a bit of action by the looks of it. Trying to surround Jizing, but he's straight out with the TP and back to the tower as well to make sure he can keep himself in lane. Has the salve and the regen ready for that kind of play, but this mid lane could get a bit tricky for Jabs in the early stages.
Yeah, unfortunately his block was not as good as maybe, so the first creep wave was something that he couldn't get any last hits on, but that's going to improve as the lane does start to push out fairly soon. It looks like Ricky recognizes there's not a whole lot he can do, and similar to the Slater being zoned out, he wants to make sure that Ice on Bat Rider gets zoned out, so he's already rotated down bottom to help prevent the Bat from getting that level 2. Being back at level 2 is always a big win as far as the safe lane supports go.
And as you said, he does have to be very, very careful with XZ. Nipping at his heels here.
But
Ice.
He got the level 2 though, so he managed to leech just enough from that last melee creep dying. Ice will be happy to able to fall back to the jungle, play some stacks. Ice is like kind of offlane to go, oh, I've got my level 2, let's go jungle now. He always loves to mess with supports, keep them busy. He doesn't even mind dying once or twice in the lane if he's getting XP and farm and keeping the supports busy. He always sees that kind of thing as a win for himself and his team.
Looks like he's going to hang around bottom as well, try and get that 2-minute rune potentially, but XZ also has that in mind as well as he hangs around, and with the backup of Victoria, we'll make sure that XZ is able to take that, and Ice unable to claim the bounty rune towards the mid lane as it continues. I think Jab's starting to catch up a bit thanks to the fact that XZ's attention has been down bottom on leaving this mid lane as a pure 1v1.
Looking like the offlane going a bit better for LGD. Slater managed to get a side pull off, which denied some farm and XP from the Drow Ranger, and also got the lane pushed to his tower. So suddenly we see Slater getting some CS uncontested. He's also hit level 3 now, so I think that's definitely maybe some mistakes coming out from Faceless, considering how many heroes they have up in this top lane. To let Slater get that side pull off and get the creep wave to his tower is something you've got to prevent from happening. So Faceless going to have to make a move, and they are looking to go on the Slater now.
Going to make a bit of a go into Jizing here. He's already sprinting away. As the Crush as well if they get too close, but
Black
he's
couldn't
too
get a right
speedy.
click off. Yeah, he needed that one ice arrow. He just couldn't quite get in range, and Slater using the sprint to escape.
So overall, these 3 lanes, would you say it's slightly favouring LGD here in these first 3 minutes?
The offlane's going slightly better for them, and then looking at the cores, you've got PA well ahead of the Drow on CS, and mid lane being won by the OD as well, thanks to some early help from the Ricky. But Jebs will, now that he's level 4, has points in Stick Snake. We're seeing him start to harass pretty well onto the OD. OD's having a rougher time now that the Mystic Snake has been leveled up.
Because the Ice is clearing up a stack, but XZ in the neighborhood will be able to take a fair bit of the XP and even getting two of the big creeps there.
That's a lot of gold.
Very, very nice for XZ. Hanging around in the right neighborhood at the right time.
Yeah, that's a really big win for those kind of plays. Make a big difference to all the timings for a Bat Rider to get his Tranquil Boots up, for the Ricky just to get some, Tranquil Boots himself, Phase Boots, whatever he wants to go for, just getting that early range ops makes a big difference when you suddenly have 150 gold that you otherwise wouldn't normally get.
I'm going to make a bit of a go here on the mid lane. Sentry's down, so Jabs will see this coming, but it's questionable how much he can do in reaction. There are TPs coming through, the rest of the team trying to turn up and help him out. Jabs will be dropped though. First blood picked up by XZ. He's trying to get himself out as well on the Ricky. Jumps across. The bug is on him though. He's not going to be able to get it off in time. XZ will fall in return. Victoria also taken down as well as XY, able to clean up a double kill in return for the fact that LGD did find that first blood. But at the end of the day, Weaver with that DD and the Drow Aura, it's an absolute nightmare to deal with.
Yeah, it's a lot of damage. There will be a TP back in, so XY gets the bottle back to Jabs, but that was a nice turnaround from the Ricky, but ultimately it's still a small win for LGD because they get the first blood gold, and it's the carry maybe who doesn't get the first blood either, but he stays alive in the mid lane while the Deucer goes down. So I think it's still an exchange that LGD get the smallest edge out of, but very much a kind of a null exchange since LGD also had to commit 4 heroes there.
Yeah, I guess it will also, considering how well the Weaver will play with this kind of lead that he's just got there. You know, we're obviously used to seeing Lil support Weaver and such, where he gets a good start and suddenly the game starts to run away. We'll have to see if XY is able to achieve something similar with this game. So already reaching on to level 4, has a nice chunk of money on top of the Blightstone.
He needs to do well too, because Deuce's going to have all the time where she needs to catch up. She's struggling on CS, and that's a big problem.
Top man Black in a bit of trouble here, actually getting the wraparound, and Arme jumping in with Jazing. They've found one. Can they actually get a second? That's the question. Actually, in fact, Chikuchi's still on cooldown, of course, just level 1. So they will pick up both the kills there. LGD sending 4 up to the top lane and crushing the safe lane of Faceless.
Yeah, that was great rotation. PA making a move there. LGD just really making these unpredictable movements, like a 4-man rotation towards the mid lane to kill the Deucer. You're expecting like the supports to be there, but it was the Slardar as well as both supports to kill the Deucer, and then suddenly it's the PA with an early TP up top. Kind of just moves you just don't expect. PA wasn't even level 6 when she TP'd up there. If you're Faceless there, you're not expecting that TP up coming from the PA, but that's exactly what LGD want to do. They want to make sure their early game goes well, because if you let Drow, Medusa just get their farm, get their levels, then the 5-man comes in, then towers start to drop, and you're not going to have items to fight this Faceless team once like there's a Dragon Lance on a Drow Ranger, whatever it may be, once Deucer has some treads in a Dragon Lance herself. That's where you're kind of at that point where you can't fight. So you want to make sure you get these small little pickoffs that slow down Faceless with their item timings.
This is certainly opening up to be a very, very strong start for LGD. Armate in a fantastic position, level 7, nearly 1k gold on top of the phase boots. Nuts running there to harass him away. He's only up here on his own now on the PA, so can't really get too close to that of Faceless. Still a mid lane matchup as well. We've nearly got Gabs falling behind, being doubled in CS almost by performance from maybe on the OD.
Yeah, he's going to have the level 6 Drow Aura now to give him a good 23 bonus damage, but doesn't help prevent him from getting ganked, and that's exactly what's happening now. Arme on the PA is now level 7 at the mid lane, looking for...
I mean, he's ready to dive with the looks of it. He will jump in and follow through. They've got 4 heroes surrounding Jabs. And we go, the Astra, there's maybe potentially a bit of time for Faces to react. They will send through 1 TP. Jabs does have the Stone Gaze, and it looks like LGD aren't content with finding a good angle to jump in on that, so the 4 of them would just simply disperse across the map and look to fight that Medusa at a later date.
Yeah, I'm probably thinking that they're kind of at that point where diving that Medusa into Stone Gaze is going to end poorly for them. You know, they can force a TP to the mid lane, but they don't want to dive underneath the tower itself, so... a wide decision to back off, and we'll see where Arme looks to go next. He's kind of given up the safe lane to the Slardar to try to get his level 6, work towards the... Obviously the Blink Dagger's not going to come super soon, it's just 150 gold on Slardar, but he can farm just fine at the top lane. If anything, he can contest the Drow's farm. Drow doesn't want to go anywhere near this PA because the jump threat is just It's a bit too much. If you don't see Riki on the map, a Riki plus PA can kill this Drow very easily, and that's something where Black can't really farm the lane unless he's got 1, even 2 heroes nearby him.
Yeah, Arme getting, as you said, just all the space and having all the dominance in that top lane that he needs. Bottom lane, XZ and Jijing, they've got their eyes onto Ice. A lot of ways they can catch them themselves. I mean, if maybe he's able to come in and set up with an Astral, there's potential for a kill here, maybe. With the Invis rune, being able to close the gap very nicely. That's going to allow Jijing to come in with the follow-up crush. They've got the damage to bring him down, though. And a Firefly ending, that'll do it. Beautiful timing there from LGD, realizing that the Firefly was coming to the end, striking at the opportune moment, taking down Ice.
Yeah, really well played. God, LGD has to be feeling really good about their early game. Maybe is working on a Midas, it looks like. He picks up a casual Gloves of Haste, doesn't buy the treads. He's thinking, Midas time. That's not normally an item you buy as a mid against a Drow strat, but with a start like this, he's feeling it right now. It's only a 1500 net worth lead, but you normally expect the Drow Ranger team to have a stronger laning stage than this. Deuce is meant to be a hero in the mid lane who doesn't really die to much and should reliably get farm, but Jabs just has been forced back into the jungle. He can't lane against the OD right now, and this is a big concern for Faceless.
Down bottom, XY coming to interrupt this, but they've got eyes on him here, and XY is in a lot of trouble. Taken down for that play. Ice has come in with the lasso. Kind of just something about Jijing, who's desperately getting himself away with the stick charge in the backup of Victoria. Jijing should be fine. Oh, he messes up. He goes back into the Firefly. Bit of a misplay there from the Slardar, costing him his life. LGD are making sure that they could try and find a favorable trade, but Ice says he seems to be outplaying them. He's got a double kill. Arme falling low as well in the Firefly. Will jump across and finally finish off Ice. But a little bit of a mess there from LGD as they lose 2 heroes' lives in the attempt to take down Ice.
They should have lost 0, I want to say. That was definitely the Slardar did not need to die. He was out of the fire, he walked back in, he died without using, I guess he was just trying to get off and amplify damage. You can understand where it's like, oh, I survived, let's help my team out.
It's very strange.
Knowing that the Bat Rider can't right click me, but yeah, he still got Firefly there. It was, yeah, a bit of chaotic play coming out from LGD, kind of the panic set in, but all in all, nice money going Ice's way, who now has drums, tranquils, and the magic wand. Noct trying to rush the blink dagger. I think he realizes the early game hasn't gone all too well, so he needs to keep making space, doing plays like he just did.
I mean, in kind of scenarios like that, the drums build, it makes it even easier to pull that kind of stuff off.
Oh yeah, if he had drums already there, it would have been fantastic. He gets the extra movement speed, he gets the extra stats. Like they're on the deuce up, but doesn't look like, there we go, force some TP cooldowns, and then you're happy. Oga is actually going to make the full commitment towards his TP mid, but he's got no mana, he can't really offer a whole lot here.
XY does not have the medallion done, so we'll see how he's able to get some kind of good positions to make ganks on this Weaver. He's not quite hitting level 6 though, so it's still a little bit risky to look for those plays. Like we just saw him down on the bottom lane getting caught out. He has to be careful still. The top lane, XZ, he doesn't want to have his eyes on Black, and he does have Victoria and also the Slardar.
They can't just they can't just run at him with the creeps there, otherwise immediately you'll see the Drow Ranger backing off. So they've got to clear out the creeps, then make the move. They have dewarded Faceless up here, so they can get into that jungle undetected, and they know that, but we'll see a sentry ward around this lane, so once they get vision of where XZ is standing, they may find out that the Riki is there.
And just kind of hugging close to the creep wave here, trying to find that final bit of XP to tip him over the edge to get that time lapse on. And indeed, LGD very much looking to fight him nuts. He'll show himself.
Yeah, he'll scout him out, and that sentry ward will see the Riki as well. Puts down there we go, sentry on both sides.
Now he's going to make it going onto the open, but the amplified damage, as tanky as he is, he's still almost certainly going to melt. That Astral will finish him off. Riki here as they hold their position in the midst of it all, but they're looking to surround the Slardar. Jijing will be taken down in return. Jab's actually going to be able to find XZ as well as he turns up to the fight to back up the rest of his side of Faceless. And they will take the trade there, 2 for 1. And again, it's LGD looking to try and make these plays, but it's costing them much more than they're getting out of it.
Yeah, they're trying to be efficient and not bring like a 5-man road. If you 5-man top lane there and Faceless just dodge you, you're wasting your time. So they only had 4 up there, and because that Faceless like, you got 4 heroes, we're going to bring 5. We're going to bring a numbers advantage, and good luck trying to fight all 5 of us. The drums pick up on Ice Ice Ice, allowed them to chase and easily win the fight there with the 2-for-1 exchange. But it's still not the biggest loss for LGD because of the fact that PA was in the mid lane farming towards that Desolator while it's going on.
So, well, as we see, they've seen us and they do attempt this diving, but immediately, TP's coming in from Jabs on the Medusa, Black's on the east, and also towards the west, Ice 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 is making his way over. They get the kill. Ricky ult at this stage, absolutely minimal damage, nothing they need to worry about with the sentries down. Because even when they placed that sentry, they didn't deward it. So actually, if he dewarded that, the Ricky would have survived. Meanwhile, mid lane back in the current game, they're making a go onto the PA. False promises there, he'll jump away. He should take a fair chunk of damage, and indeed he does. It's very, very close. But it was enough Victoria to keep Amaya alive there.
I think the biggest thing that they did really well that top lane was Black's positioning. He was off to the right there. The Slater was trying to go on him, but then got cold arrowed, got gusted back, got kited really nicely. Black was in the best possible position and was just out of range of LGD to get on top of him. Ideally, they want to be getting a like crush and an amp damage on him with the Ricky follow-up. Then Faceless could have been in trouble there, but as it stands, Faceless then transition into a mid-tier 1 tower. And that's a nice little objective for them, but these fights are about to get very difficult with the PA having the Desolator now. The burst potential is something they're going to have to start respecting.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Again, Exy just getting intel across the map for the team.
Yeah. This is where it's a bit unexpected to see the Midas pick up from maybe, because this is the pushes, the 5-man from Faceless is really starting to begin. We see them take the mid tier 1, now they're already at bottom. But I think their plan for LGD is we're going to trade towers and try to play more towards the late game. Maybe he's got to force stuff with the Midas, so it's not like he's underfarmed and lacking a core item. And 15 minutes having... Normally, the alternative you'd have like treads and a 4-staff. So having a brown boots, 4-staff, and a Midas is A-okay for him.
See mid lane, LGD may be ready to make a jump. They have got the full 5-man around. Jijing does have the Blink Dagger complete on Slaughter.
See what the plan's going to be. Phantom Assassin is getting towards that bottom jungle, maybe thinking he can find Ice 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 on the bat before he gets a Blink Dagger.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Forcing Ame forward, but as it is just nighttime, can't quite get the vision of the bat. And at Faceless, of course, spawning out all these movements as well.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
So what Black looks to get, he's got the casual mob mask. He's one of the few guys that still does Mask Madness. He really likes the item, but against the PA Slaughter, it may be something he forgoes. You might want the extra armor from the Helmet Dominator. He probably also just wants to get the faster Hurricane Pike, since the Force Staff effect is going to be very useful against both Slaughter as well as the PA, even the Ricky getting out of the smoke cloud. So I think there's a good chance he just rushes the Hurricane Pike here. Similarly, maybe an item that Jab even wants to go on hit Medusa. For now, just staying on the phase Yasha, but as they've got the Desolator, they want to make use of it. They're going to smoke up not just the Desolator, the Blink on the Slaughter you mentioned. Going to make some play.
I think that was slightly in range of Faceless' Hobbs Ward there towards the mid lane, so I think they're aware of this.
This is going right.
Yeah, I believe they saw the edge of the smoke, so they know that something's going down. They're heading straight towards the pit. Ice 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 chucking in the flame break, and LGD have got to get themselves the hell out of there. They do not want to commit to this Roshan with Faceless in the neighborhood.
LGD lucky that Victoria was out of position to scout the smoke gank and alert the heroes in Roshan that, hey, Faceless are right there. If not for the Oracle coming late to the Roche party, that would have been like 2 easy kills for Faceless.
Ice 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 jumping forward. A bit of a missed time there with the Astral and the Blink, and LGD kind of pulling into disarray around this fight, backing off, to get too close. And, okay. Well, Exy's made quick work of. He does Shikuchi up to the high ground, but they have a sentry there ready and waiting for him, and a quick crit from Ame will finish off the old bug. So now they've got the numbers advantage, so LGD looking to move back into the pit now. Faceless will continue to play around with them. They're going to have Exy back in the game in 15 seconds.
Yeah. That was really, I want to say unfortunate for the Weaver. That looks like a really bad play, but he had a sentry there. If you're Shikuching into your own sentry, the dire sentry there.
Yeah, you feel that area is covered.
You know there's no sentry. You know there's no Radiant sentry where that is. But there's 2 Radiant sentries, one just out of range to the north and one just out of range to the east of that dire sentry. That covered his entire entrance there. So it was really unfortunate for XY. That was like a totally acceptable play to make. It just so happened that the sentry positioning favored LGD.
And now this has kind of rotated into this defense down on the bottom lane where LGD prodding and poking. And still, yeah, I mean, just around that Roshan pit, it's an absolute mess of sentry wards. It'll be interesting to see how much supports are spent on the warding this game with both Ricky and Weaver in play. There's been sentries for days across the map.
As it stands, it's kind of even getting what we're expecting here. Neither team has really pulled ahead yet. This first big fight's really gonna. The first big fight's gonna kind of secure Roshan for either team. Both teams have huge physical damage and a great ability to take Rosh. And that's going to be a big factor as far as how this game transitions.
Time for a smoke from Faceless.
He popped it on a couple of heroes, and yeah, he knew he's blink striking the hell out of there. He doesn't want anything to do with it, and definitely a game where an early gem pickup will not go astray. You can start saving money on sentries for one thing, rather than having to buy sentry after sentry. You just spend money on that gem. The main thing is not losing it, since there's going to be that's a big gold swing if you buy the gem and give it to the other team, and they can get huge value out of it.
Yeah, and they're back into the pit here, Faceless, trying to finish this one off. They've got to be careful. Jijing has got the blink of the crush. Justin gets the two-man crush off. Immediately responds to Ice with the lasso, but it's taken off. Victoria with a false promise onto XE. Jijing trying to get himself out, but the damage from the drought looks to be nearly too much. He's kept alive, but the plate tealing stopping the damage. He survives, and his Faceless losing 3 as maybe is turning up and absolutely pounding them to pieces. They've got the Astral onto Ice. He's stuck in the cloud. Double kill for maybe as LGD take down 4 and move back into the pit. And some very, very nice play there from Victoria, keeping both Jijing and XE alive with that arc of performance.
He's got the insta false promise. That's like the fastest false promise I've ever seen onto a lasso tag. It's almost like he was pre-casting it. He saw Ice coming. He was ready for it. And the PA also just being tanky enough now with this Vanguard pickup, that made a big difference. I think that's where LGD felt confident to fight the Roshan, because the problem is when you get this phase Deso PA is that you're very squishy. You're sitting on like 800 or 900 HP. You're not really ready to team fight, but the Vanguard pickup, it just gives him this extra bit of sustain, much bigger HP pull and damage block, and when you're against a team that's largely physical damage, that damage block makes a big, big difference, and Ame felt confident he could just go charging in there as a result of it, and was sure as hell right. He managed to help clean up for his team. This is getting really tough now. We talked about that first big fight being the deciding one. LGD take it convincingly. They get themselves Aegis. They get themselves a big lead. Suddenly, Maybe's pulled ahead with 10k net worth. He's got the Hurricane Pike, Midas, and Treads, another 1200 gold. This is where the Drow strat can really fall apart because of that one bad fight.
Yeah, and certainly FL have to be careful about losing subsequent fights as well, as already the movement from LGD coming across the map. Now I'm going to find Nuts here on the edge. They don't look to try and jump in too deep for that one, as they won't find anything initially with this movement, but at the least just securing the place and space for maybe to find that tier 1 mid. And indeed, as you mentioned, just maybe continue to be in an absolutely fantastic place where, when it comes to farm, you know, Ben talked about the panel, how maybe was this miracle-esque player, and on this OD so far, we're seeing why.
Yeah, having a huge game, and that's not going to change anytime soon. His farm is just absurd. He's really, in some ways, going to be the true carry. Like, you think, oh, we're going to burst this PA because she has great burst damage potential, but if you ignore the OD, he starts stacking up the stolen int in a fight. That Sandy the Flips is just going to win you the game.
Top lane, XE scouting out. He's down. XE versus X1.
It's nice when you can find these kills without having to bring in like more than 2 heroes. Like, that's really just, you've got OD farming at the bottom, you've got PA farming in the jungle, and that's something where Weaver feels confident, like, oh, I can just go up here, farm, push a lane, but that's not the case.
Hello there, Ice close to Ice. He's found himself a PA. He'll start to drag Ame back. He does have Nuts in the neighborhood, but the false promise is already out from Victoria. Trying to do his best to keep Ame alive. Ame should be able to jump across for him, but no, in fact, the damage is too much, and he's going to lose the Aegis here for the first time. Can FL do anything about the second one? No, leave it at that. And I think they'll take that. You know, taking the Aegis quite quickly off the PA's hands after she was able to claim it from Roshan.
Gets them back on track, because ideally this is the stage where Faceless should be controlling the game, taking towers, taking objectives, using the fact they've got the Drow Medusa to kind of 5-man, but Jabs is lacking some items.
XZ walking up into a sentry wall. Could he get himself out of range? No, he can't. He's down. They'll find the Ricky.
Yeah, killing the PA means they can actually go team fight now, because if they didn't want to team fight into the Aegis, but they were happy to find a pick off, and once they've got another lasso, we may smoke, we may just see them make a rotation to go defend and push out this bottom. Suddenly LGD's back in that state where they don't want to be the ones forcing a 5v5 fight unless it's on their own terms, like we saw at the Roche pit, where they're getting the better jump and having the positioning advantage.
A Midas pick up not only for OD this game, but also coming out in Jazing's Slada.
I mean, that's the LGD. Like, they know they can defend high ground for as long as they need, and Midas's will pay off, I guess. They haven't lost a tier 2 tower yet, so all things considered, the Midas seems like a formidable pickup. It's going to get Slada more scaling, more levels, more guaranteed farm as the game goes on. And it doesn't feel like LGD are under the amount of pressure.
Nice ice that coming in with a pretty ambitious blink just to clear the wave, and immediately LGD pounced on him in return. That was a bit of a strange blink forward there from Ice.
Yep. Let's play from him, and those kind of kills you don't want to be giving up, because as soon as you lose a Batrider like that, suddenly the call in the team comms is pretty much, all right, fall back and farm. Like, you can't make any moves as a team once you lose that key initiating hero. Like, if you lose an Ogre or something, you're thinking, well, we can still find a pick-off. You can be aggressive on the map, but losing a bat means there's zero play. You have your carries, you just sit there and right-click heroes, but you have no playmaking and pick-off potential. So your only real call now is to fall back and farm, and that's where LGD will take advantage, push out lanes, and just really buy time to get their carries even more fun, get them more online. Ame's got 2.7k gold. We'll see where he looks to go, whether he gets the Abyssal Blade or even goes back for like a BKB, picks up the Basher.
Yeah. I mean, Deso straight into Abyssal, it's super aggressive, but that is absolutely nasty. Yep. If he gets the lockdown, it'll almost certainly get the kill every time.
We've almost got a Shivers complete on Navy's OD.
24 minutes in.
Yeah, and that's the armor he gets from this is going to help so much against the Drow Juicer strat. Getting that 15 armor as well as the attack speed slow for the enemy, that really gives him almost like unlimited survivability in these fights. It's going to get absurd how hard he is to kill for Faceless.
As we can see, a bit of a creep skip from the Weaver, making it very hard for LGD to push on this bottom lane, so we'll force them to back up. And whilst this is happening, there's free space in the mid lane. Black was able to find a bit of farm, so at the end of the day, that's sort of traded at time and space. It pays off for Faceless.
I think one of the big reasons they're getting these Midases on LGD's side is because they recognize they can't, even with this lead of theirs, they can't really go end the game because they have very bad wave push. Slada and PA, neither hero really pushes waves at all. That's one of the downsides of PA. Despite us seeing a lot of PA in this tournament, normally it's paired with a mid hero that pushes waves quite well. OD is okay, but not great. The Astral, of course, able to clear a wave decently in the early to mid game, but come late game, you're kind of faster off just right-clicking down a wave, so you're not really much better than a PA. And that's really one of the big limitations of maybe LGD's drafts, is they're forced to play for late game, but that's LGD in their comfort zone typically. So we'll see whether or not Faceless can try and punish that, or alternatively, it feels like they need to just match the farm. They're going to have to go late game with Drow right now. It's not the end of the world. We're seeing teams get better and better at scaling with Drow Ranger, the itemization, the play around the Drow. It's no longer this, oh, you've got to win the game by 30 minutes, push all the towers or you lose kind of thing. You've got a Deucer, you've got a Drow. Deucer, one of the best late game carries out there, so by no means are Faceless like, oh, we're going late game, our strats failed. They're probably just thinking, this is the plan B, let's start playing the farming efficiency game rather than trying to team fight.
Ooh, maybe he just waltzes in with the Shiva's Guard, and that spooks Jabs. Immediately stone gazing and backing off. And now at this point as well, you've got towards Ricky, who's also finished off a Diffusal Blade. XZ is going to be a little bit of a nightmare as well for these cores on Faceless.
If he can get like a Manta style farm up as well, he's going to be a good hero to be able to burn down Jabs' mana pool on that Medusa as this game goes on. And LGD are going to look to force things in this middle lane. I think recognizing that there's just some key items missing on the Faceless side to really fight. Also, key spells, the Stone Gaze being used, of course, means that's really the big team fight ultimate of Faceless. With no Stone Gaze, they're like, sweet, let's go. This is really a good time to take a free tower. Then they fall back and defend the tower.
That's why. He has been spotted out here. That Astral, yeah, beautifully done there by maybe the Astral caught him mid-time lapse animation. He was trying to get his way out of there, XY, but up goes Splat and maybe just continues to have this pretty much flawless game. 4-0-5, insane level of farm here to have a 27 minutes in. And mid lane LGD making sure the pain doesn't stop for Faceless. A quick jump in, and Faceless have to be careful now. Giving away kills like this, just allowing LGD to continue to build and grow this lead that they already have.
Getting rough as far as the kills go. It's not totally all over, as mentioned. Faceless are looking to just play for that late game. They'll be able to defend their high ground pretty well. with the Medusa on the front lines with Stone Gaze. Ice wants to get to 4-star. He's getting picked off though for now. He needs that 4-star.
XZ jumping in.
By the 4-star.
Jishing is
had
there
the
to
money.
back up.
Yeah, the Firefly gave him the money for it, but didn't manage to buy it in time.
Oh, maybe-
Black's turning it around though.
Yeah, he should be able to get Jishing actually by the time. Oh no, the smoke screen. JK, they don't have detection though for Black. Black will be able to chat a little as well. Jab's going for the Stone Gaze. TP out. He will make it.
No dagger back in time. I saw the PATP in the dagger flag. I'm like, that bastard. That's like the unluckiest Medusa you'll ever see, but gets out of there. So yeah, major OD problem, and OD's very good against Medusa in late game because Medusa takes a long time to kill. She's very tanky, but for an OD, that's just more and more into steal. And when you're stealing it, you're taking away the mana pool of Medusa, so there's less mana to use for the shield. So as much as Medusa can scale into the late game, OD is ahead on farm and is a somewhat head-to-head counter in that carry matchup. So it's gonna be very tough for Medusa here. Probably need almost like a BKB at some point, which is never an item that Medusa really wants to build.
Yeah, but as you said, just potential when you've got to think about building against the OD. And it's going to get nasty. Silver's edge is being worked on by Black. He's pretty much got the money for it as well, just 50 gold. Oh, he's got it. The ultimate orb done as well.
Yeah, nice. It gives him an ability to fight into the PA now, and also maybe take advantage of PA not having a BKB, so you can burst. Army's going to be very squishy if they go on him first with the Silver Edge, but that's where LGD have the better save. The False Promise has time and time again been one of the stronger tools on their side. Victoria has really won them the team fights when he's needed to. And I believe that the False Promise should also get rid of that break effect. So if you use it after the Silver Ed, break is gone and suddenly PA's got the evasion back, has the blur, and then life gets a lot easier for Arme not to die.
LGD though continuing with another tower taken, and Roshan ready for them as well, and no way the Faceless can contest this one. They're not in the neighborhood, they just continue to try and fight as much as they can, split up across the map. Black still pushing out that top lane. That's maybe the next lane that we're going to see LG just turn attention towards. There's still a tier 1 and a tier 2 for the takings, and it's going to help accelerate LGD's lead even more.
I think XY really wants to finish the Ag Scepter on Weaver. That's going to be his kind of game-changing item. He's got the Ogre Club, I just don't see a BKB really making that big a difference, as much as it's a nice item against an OD.
So he's getting a good grab here on Arme. See if they've got the damage to bring him down. They'll have to do it twice, of course. Already down to half health, but Victoria's there in the neighborhood. And as we're seeing, just
doesn't even need the False Promise.
Yeah, the damage is not there. In fact, they want to jump back in on the side of it. They found Black. Black immediately initiated on the Sanity Eclipse coming through. XY out of mana, has to get himself away from this fight. They've lost one. That's just trying for the TP out. It's not going to be successful as Arme, with the crit, chops him down. And again, it really feels like in the last half of this game, it's just been LGD all the way, and Faceless unable to do anything to stop them.
Yep, Faceless not going to be able to do too much on the high ground defense without a lasso, without Drow Ranger alive. This is looking like a bottom lane of Rax, and we could be approaching that kind of game over point with Faceless just not having the ability to keep up in farm and to match up against Maybe's OD. And it's not just the Maybe OD, it's the way that LGD are playing together as a team. You just have such good coordination in these fights. They're just protecting each other well. They're using the Oracle very effectively, and we haven't seen Faceless able to prevent that False Promise really coming into play.
Now, let's see. As I maybe seeing if he can get a jump in lasso. Back off cooldown. If he can start the fight here with something big, it'd be pretty absolutely paramount for them to get it. There's the jumping, it's a good one. They grab the Oracle, but immediately Arme's there to back up the Oracle. Jumps in, chops him down. The Riki coming through as well, forcing FL to split. Arme jumping forward, looking for XY. He's trying to get more out of this, but the turnaround potentially there for Faces as they take their attention towards Arme, bring him down once. They'll bring him down a second time, that's the question, and the answer probably is not. Maybe able to get XZ though. False Promise with Victoria. They're in time with the urn on, and the heal should be enough. He blinks away. Jabs moving forward with the Stone Gate, trying to catch some more stragglers of LGD. It looks like their heals weren't enough at the end of the day for XZ. Riki to fall. XY continuing to chase down, looking for Victoria. And they're still in the neighborhood. XY can play around with this. Has a time lapse as well. Arme jumps in with the bash, but he did cast the Shikuchi off in time. Only getting back up there in the fade time, and no detection of course on the EA. So at the end of the day, they take away the Aegis, they hold the high ground. It's
Good hold.
It is indeed, considering the situation that Faceless were in.
Yeah, they'll take it. I mean, they're in that position where they're now playing that LGD role, where it's defending your high ground for as long as possible in the hopes that your carries can get those late game core items they need.
But talking about carries and late games, Jabs is getting absolutely hammered on by maybe. Black will turn up and actually looking to turn, but Jing's there, jumps in with the two-man crush. Ice turning up as well. It's a bit of a full-scale fight though, as Arme continues to focus his attention towards Jabs pulling low. Actually, Jabs surviving for the last bit of time, finally goes down there as Arme jumps forward, and now Black and Ice potentially in trouble as well. Black trying to get himself out into the safety of the trees. They're not safe at all as LGD move in, claim a second. And this time, in this trade, it's back to business for LGD. They lose nothing, and they take down both the two late-game cores of FL.
Yeah, that was just LGD bringing the numbers they needed. Oracle shows up in time to help the OD out, and that short cooldown on Astral, allowing them to have the uptime they needed. Faceless couldn't bring in the numbers. They didn't have the damage to burst down the OD in the lasso. The false promise was actually a cooldown, but didn't really matter.
And just pick after pick for LGD. XZ. I mean, this man's rookie performance, just the vision that he's been giving and the setup potential he's opened up for Jijing has been absolutely perfect this game.
It's been such a great pick for LGD. The rookie, like you say, the vision, the scouting that he's brought to the table. Both teams have been buying tons of sentries, but it's also, that's a dent to the economy of Faceless. Part of the reason why a lot of their heroes, like the Ogre sitting on 1300 net worth, is because of how many sentries he has to buy. Weaver hasn't been able to finish an item either, so only LGD, this time around, they will break through the high ground. They will get the melee racks in.
Then he's in with big gear Faceless, and it's going to be so hard as well. Maybe he's just picked up a full AC. He's got so much armor.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. He recognizes that threat. The only way he dies is physical damage.
Jijing following through again. XD jumping, they get the two-man crush. Jabs will move forward with the Stone Gaze. LGD back up for the time being. They get a good discuss onto XZ. Take down one. Arme. The daggers again will blink forward onto Nuts. Jijing again putting it on the top with a two-man crush. Ice will have the lasso onto maybe, but Victoria's there with the false promise, saving him. Ice taken down. It's a painful trip back to base. It's Faceless again, losing 3. Will be back up again by the looks of it for one more fight, but they've already lost the full set of ranks up top. It looks like they will lose the mid one as well. And potentially one more fight in it for them, but not if they lose the Medusa like this. They immediately jump in for Jijing. Arme, the Sanity's Eclipse from maybe, hammering down onto Faceless' heads.
Jabs just could never finish his core items. He ends the game with 4k gold, but he has Lincoln's Yasha at 35 minutes in. That's not going to cut it. Obviously, he could have had like the Manta style or something, like the parts of the Skadi to work on, but he got too far ahead. They hit their timings. They won that first big fight. I mean, this game,
that fight around the roast.
Yeah, that first roast fight is the one fight that you look at